Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Sam Dean Podcast, where we talk about life uncensored. Today's episode is brought to you by Van Zant Coffee. Order our coffee at vanzantcoffee.com. It's also sponsored by Protein Proletas. That's PROLETAS.com. You can buy them at CrossFit Van Zant. Thanks for listening. Here's Pat Puckett. All right. Well, Pat, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Sam. I feel privileged.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you earlier, as I started this thing, I had 2 listeners the first episode. And now we've had over 650 listeners around the world. Actually, 1 in Ireland and 2 in the United Kingdom. I know one of the guys in the UK, but everybody else in the U.S., of course. But it's growing. The podcast is gaining a little popularity. So
that's great. That's impressive. Yeah. So
anyway, so Pat, I first met you whenever I was a kid. Me and your stepson Adam Piper,
right,
were playing ball, probably t-ball at the CYRA. That's probably where I first met you.
I'm sure. I remember that. Yes.
And memories of you. Just growing up, you were almost at every ball game. Did you go to every ball game?
We didn't miss many. Well, there were very few that we missed. Back then, I had a job that kept me out of town some, so there was a few, but not many. Not many.
It's a big deal when you go to all the ball games. Now, Adam played everything, pretty much.
Right.
And so did I. But Adam's 1 year older than me. But you're 74 years old, and I've known you my whole life. It seems. And
no, we've been here 27 years.
27 years. And recently, and we'll talk about recent and then we'll go back, but recently you've started CrossFit. How long have you been with us with CrossFit Van Zant?
Going on a year, Sam. I don't remember. I think November this year will be a year for me, I think. October, November, somewhere in that range, sir.
You're 74 years old. And when you first started here, I can remember you could barely get up off the ground.
Right.
You could barely pick up much of anything. And today I saw you pick up 35 pounds from the ground to overhead 10 times in a row without stopping.
Yes, sir.
Which was, significant weight. It's almost a bag of feed. But you've really made a big improvement over this last year, and I just want to thank you for just giving us a chance to help you.
Well, you know that when I came and talked to you last year, the year before we'd been sitting at the house, and I sat there all winter and it was wet and everything. Got depressed, just too wet to go outside. I don't have much land anymore, and I just had to do something to get out of the house. And I kind of talked to Adam a little bit about it, but I mean, I didn't think that I could do what y'all were doing. Yeah. And I was really pretty apprehensive about it, but I thought, well, if Janine told me, get out of the house, go do something, and I won't be depressed anymore and everything. And you and Ashley, when I think I talked to you mainly, and you said that y'all could tailor what we do, what y'all do, to help us. And so I came, and I will admit the first few weeks were embarrassing. I mean, you see some little old ladies, some young people, and they're picking up stuff 10 times what I should be able to pick up. But you finally got it across to me that you're not competing against anybody else. And so now I can do so much more than I did then.
I think our motto should be encourage others while conquering yourself.
That'd be a good one.
Because I think, is that ego we're talking about? Where you come in and you think you should be doing more than everybody else because, you're a man.
That's true.
You're a real man, actually. You're a real man's man. But you come in here and somebody that's been doing CrossFit for years more than you can do more than you can. And it's hard to think that, oh, gosh, it's going to take me forever to get to their point.
True. That's true. But the thing about it, after you get to after you getting to know the people, especially, I don't know, we kind of laugh. We've got this 9 o'clock class, you know, and there's 4 or 5 people that are give or take my age. We really enjoy the company. There's no depression. We have a great time in here, and they encourage you. And I mean, you know, just whatever you're picking up, that's great. What you can do. So.
That 9 o'clock class is very old. I mean, you guys have been around for a long time. I mean,
but did you notice how much
like somebody from the Bible, you know?
Well, that's true. But did you notice how much fun we have?
Yes,
we have a ball. And I tell you, your sweet wife, bless her heart. You know, she'll start telling us what we're going to do, and maybe give us like y'all all do, show us the way we're going to do it. And me and George and John was here.
John Lewandowski.
George and Craig, we're sitting there just kind of shaking our heads, you know, we're kind of laughing. And in a minute, she'll say, I'll get to y'all. Just, you know. So, but it's like I told y'all earlier, I would have never, ever thought that, you can ask Janine, I miss it when I don't get to come.
Yeah.
So, I would have never in my life thought I would miss coming to work out.
What you just said, I miss it if I don't come. That's a metric or a milestone within itself, because early on when you start exercise, if you go from the couch and you start an exercise program, you dread going, and it's so tough at the beginning that you're so sore and you don't want to go, but you hit a certain point to where if you don't go, your body yearns for that activity.
True.
And it's almost like you know, I say, you know, you should work out, and it should be a part of your personal hygiene, just like brushing your teeth. So if you don't brush your teeth in the morning, you kind of feel dirty for the rest of the day, or you feel off, you know. And that's the same thing with exercise. But I think what you're talking about also is the mental aspect of it. You know, when you do that hour-long exercise or however long we do the workout that day, your brain emits those endorphins, which is an antidepressant. It helps you, chemically balances you and relaxes you, and it gives you the success. You know, you finish that workout, and that's an achievement for the day.
True.
No matter how well you did in the workout, hell, you finished it. You know?
True. And
then you move on. You go to work. You achieve something there. You go to the farm. You do something there, and it kind of snowballs. But
you know, I told Ashley when I came that after the tornado 3 years ago, my hip was messed up real bad and everything. And as much as I like to ride horses, I could not hardly get on. I couldn't swing my right leg over the saddle. I'd have to lay down. It was not pretty at all. And I told Ashley, I said, my one goal is to be able to where I can get off and on my horse. Well, I hate your squats and I hate your step-ups. Now, that big wooden box we've got now, what I'm doing my step-ups on. Yeah. But I can get on and off a horse. So, hey, that's an accomplishment right there.
That was your goal coming in.
That was my first goal. I got others now, but that was my first one that I've accomplished.
You're one of the only – I don't know too many cowboys. And I know you don't consider yourself a cowboy probably. But you're somebody that – and I say a man's man, but – you're somebody I would go to for advice on horses, cows, ranching, and one of your goals was to get back to be able to ride a horse. And you're 74 years old, and you get on a horse and you still rope.
Yes, sir.
So when did you get started in all that? Can you take me back?
When I was a kid, my dad had a lot of cotton farm in West Texas, in Paducah, Texas, and had some cattle, but it wasn't our main way of making a living. And as I got in high school, we did away with that and started running a bunch of wheat pasture cattle. So I grew up on a horse.
Okay, so why did you stop doing cattle? Because it wasn't.
No, I never did stop. I did. Well, let me back up a minute. My dad was doing them. I was doing them. The mid-'80s, we had some real severe droughts in West Texas, and I went broke. And so I sold out, and at that time, that was, you know, you look back on stuff, and you realize that the Lord led me into part of that. But I went broke, and that's when I went to work for Farm Bureau Insurance, which I worked for 28 years, which is what brought us here. But that's why I quit the cattle business, because I went broke at that time.
Is there anybody that makes money in the cattle business?
Yeah, there's times. There was times I made real good money, but when we had back then, we had all those droughts and land payments and everything. There wasn't anything else going on. I mean, I had combines and trucks. I had a trucking outfit and everything, and but it took everything I was making to keep the farming going. I finally realized I need to be doing something else. When your whole, I don't know what your family's done. Both sides of my family, my granddad, my grandparents, and all of them have always been farmers and ranchers, always. So you just fell into it like it was natural, and it just finally got the chance where I turned everything over to my dad and sold out and left because I could move, he couldn't, so he kept going. So anyway, then went to work for Farm Bureau Insurance, and we had working there, and I got to be a manager of several little counties there. We were blessed. We had the #1 small agency in the state for several years, and that's how we got an advancement to come here. But we both know that, Janine and I know that this was an opening that the Lord created for us to be here. So that's how we got here.
So is that in Paducah where you started with Farm Bureau?
I actually started in Decatur. I actually went there. I moved. That was an opening there, and then I saw that wasn't working, and I was going to quit, do something else. And my boss just said, "We need somebody back in Paducah. There's not, so if you'll move back there." So we got to move back home. And then there was they put several out there. Out there, I had 6 counties under my agency, and there were like 1,100 customers there. When I moved here, there was like 3,000 in one county, so it's quite a difference. So.
What's the secret to selling insurance to somebody? What do you have to do?
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Because you can get insurance anywhere.
That's exactly right. And the thing that you have to do is you have to be honest and give people what they need. I mean, there's a bunch of different kinds of policies, and everybody doesn't need the same thing. Everybody doesn't need the best. They need what they can afford to cover what they want. So the thing you do is just sit down with each one of them. Let's find out what you want to do. What can you afford? How can we best help you? And then when you have a problem, we need to be there to help them. That's what we sold them, was we'd be there whenever you, because the insurance is not worth anything until you have a loss. Right. Then that's when you need to be there and to help them. So I think and I was blessed to work for a good company, Farm Bureau, believed in its customers, and so it was.
So you not only sold insurance policies to people, but you were there when they had questions, they needed to file a claim. They called you, and you helped them get to the right place.
Do everything, and that's. It was really amazing because, I worked for them for 28 years and retired, and we had the tornado 3.5 years ago and lost everything. Yeah. And some of the adjusters, when they showed up at our house, where Janine and I were still unable to get out and get around. So they talked to Mandy, and one of them said, I've helped your dad to bunch these claims, and now it's our turn to help him. And they did. They come through great. So anyway. And there's a lot of good companies and a lot of good people.
So what would you, if I was working at your insurance, if I was under you at Farm Bureau, I just starting out, what's some advice you'd give me on getting my first client? Where do I go?
We're going to give you a book of business. That was what we'll do. I mean, I have customers there that maybe John Smith signed up years ago and everything, and he's gone. So I need to give them to somebody now. And my advice to you is you go sell one of these people. Don't worry about selling them anything. Go talk to them. And we have a little review form. What do you need? Let's just see what kind of needs you have so we can cover those. And that's the main thing we try to do. The review form was our bread and butter. And then you tell me what you need, what do you need it for. Worst thing that we saw in our years, we're going to get off on insurance sales.
Go ahead.
Was life insurance, because a lot of people, they got a car payment, they got to cover it. They got a house payment, they got to cover it. You know what the number one reason the industry said for young women remarrying after their husband's death? They can't afford to raise their kids by themselves. They didn't have any life insurance. Yeah. So you want to protect your house? The bank says you got to do that, but who's going to protect your family?
Right.
You got to do that. So my job when you go out there and see these people, Sam, you got this little review for them, and you see what they need. You make it a point to say we need to cover your family. That's the most important thing you have. You need to cover them. Now, maybe you can't afford to do it all today, but I'd a whole lot rather bring you a check for $50,000 knowing you need $200 than say, I'm sorry, you didn't do anything. Right. And then unless while you're healthy, I'm going to come back and see you again next year. We're going to see, okay, you got a little more money we can put in this, but I'm going to do my best to take care of all your needs while you're doing that. And the thing that I did would try to get all my agents to do that with their clients, okay? And I did have a book of business too, but you do that. My job is to sell Farm Bureau insurance to the county, to the town. So anything goes on in town, we're going to be a part of it. We're going to support it. Yeah. We're going to make it where people know we're here and what we stand for. And then, because a lot of people, we can't catch them all, but we did have a lot of them that walked through the door looking for us. So
right.
That was what we did. So I could make you a success.
But you need to get plugged in to the community.
Yes, sir. You need to
go to church. You need to go out to eat. You need to go
everywhere.
Kids games and things like that.
You walk in a cafe. There's a kid down here said you're not running for public office, but shake hands, say something nice to everybody. It doesn't hurt to be nice to. You never know when you saying a kind word to somebody is going to be the answer to the prayer that they were looking for. They were just thinking, I'm just nothing's working right, and there you are. You're talking to them, making them smile and happy, and now they're having a better day. So look at what you did.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. And you've been that way for a long time. Who taught you that?
I have no idea.
Who taught you how to be so nice to people?
Dr. Dan Hilliard. He told me one time I was going to him. You can ask Janine about this. I always kid her that she takes a lot better care of herself than I do. And you know what my diet's like, So
yeah,
anyway,
we're working on it.
Yeah, I know you're working on it. But he told me, he said, the good Lord gave you a better deck to play with than other people because he knew you wasn't going to take care of yourself. We all have gifts that the Lord gives us. I mean, yours is right here. Look at what you're doing at all the people that you're helping here, that you're helping improve their lives and their bodies through CrossFit here. And I mean, I'm a prime example of that. But that's a gift that the Lord gave you and Ashley, that you can communicate this with those people and make them want to put out. I mean, us old men back there, we don't want to pick all them things up like we do every now and then. But we think, okay, this is what we do. So I think it was a gift I got, like the gift that you got. Yeah. And so now that we all are given gifts by the Lord, some of us just don't find them, or maybe we're not in the right place to use them. And then who knows, maybe that going broke farming and had to finding something through Farm Bureau, and then moving us down here, we got in with the church, we got in with y'all, with everything, and it's allowed me to use the gift that the Lord gave me to get along with people like that. So
the other day we moved from our house in town out to our house in Walton, and I had to move George's trampoline. Right. And I mentioned it to you because I was dreading it. I was up here, we're working out, you're in the class, and I said, I got to move George's trampoline because the new renters are coming in. And you said, oh, well, I'll be there in an hour with my tools. And I showed up to the house, and you were already there with your truck, with your trailer, with your tools. You helped me disassemble the trampoline. You helped me load it. You carried it out to the house. I followed you. We assembled it, and George started jumping on the trampoline. You don't understand how big of a deal that was to me. It was a huge deal, and you doing that, I thought about that, and then I wanted to go help somebody else. True.
I mean, you know, doing something like that is what you and I do for the people. I don't expect anybody to pay me back for it. If I got anything good out of it, I would hope that you pay it forward. Now you go help somebody else. You go help somebody else.
Yeah. That's so cool. What church do you guys go to?
We go to Lakeside Baptist.
How long you been going there?
Probably 13, 14 years. We started out at First Baptist, and then we changed, and we've been going over there. So
what's the key? If somebody wanted to get into a church? What's the steps? What's the key to getting plugged in at a church and actually being a part of it? And because a lot of people don't know.
I think you look for a church that preaches the Bible as God's word, straight from the Bible. No changes, no additions, no nothing. It's God's word, and find a preacher who believes that. And if he's doing his job, he's going to step on your toes a lot of times. That's good. I don't want somebody just to say, "Oh, you're doing good. Come on, do this, do that." No, I need to know what I'm not doing, and how can I help somebody else. And what you're talking about me helping you do that. I mean, there's a lot of people at the church that we do that with, but when you go to that church, if you make yourself available, we'll put you to work. We'll put you to work.
Give me an example of preachers stepping on your toes.
Well, I'm trying to think. He maybe talk about stuff that you shouldn't be. Okay, I don't drink anymore. Quit years ago, but maybe he gets spare one day and talk about alcoholic use or doing this or doing that or something that's not right, and you're doing it.
Something's got a grip on you, maybe.
Yes, he say, okay, and you look around, and is he looking right at me?
No.
I mean, is he or am I glowing? Is
Yeah.
it so? But
That happens to me all the time.
Okay, I understand it. But I mean, he hits those spots that you need to correct yourself. Because if he doesn't hit a spot that you don't need to correct yourself, he's either not doing his job or you're not paying any attention. Because we all have, no matter how much we go to church, no matter how much we believe in the Lord and what He's telling us, we still have spots that we need to change.
Because He's not.
Yeah,
You're not perfect. He's not perfect.
No, and our brother Mark up here, I know you know him. Well,
yeah.
he's retired.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a preacher the other day. I can't remember his name. He's a black man from, he's an interim preacher, and he was good. And he was talking about something that I have a problem with about loving your enemies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What about all these people we have now that are trying to take down our governmental system? They're trying to, in California, they're closing the churches. They're putting you in jail if you go to church, okay? Those are our enemies, okay? But the Bible says you love those people.
Yeah.
Okay, the Bible also says it's not for me to judge them. So my job is, if you were doing that to me, Sam, then I'm going to pray for you that you would come to know the Lord and you'd do away with what you're doing. But if not, the Lord would take care of that. I just turn you over to Him. That's His. Yeah. You're His to judge, not mine. And so that's hard not to do, though.
It's the hardest. Yeah.
I look at these guys and think they're affecting my life. They're affecting my kids, my grandkids. What are they trying to turn this world into? And yet I've got to love them. I can't hate them. I can't. I really would like to go shoot some up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
I
right
know you're right
there.
Yeah.
But it's really, and I guess what you're trying to say, you got to have conversations with people. You can't just shut them down. You can't shut them out, or else it'll just get worse and worse.
That's true.
And we got to communicate with the people that we don't agree with, especially other Americans. I mean, we're a country, right?
Yeah, true. And he said, something. He said, you're supposed to love these people no matter what they do. He said, no matter how they vote. Well, look at there. I mean, we have our men's group at church and others. We have breakfast several times a week. And even though we all go to the same church, we've learned we don't talk about politics at the breakfast table. Yeah. Because you and I are great friends. We love each other. We trust each other. But we still might disagree with that. And that can...
Yeah. It's a sticking point. Politics, religion.
Hey, you was asking one thing a while ago about when you go to church... There are ways that you can fit in, that you can be of service. Whenever I retired in 2013, my blood pressure was like 240 something over 120. Couldn't get it down. I couldn't get it down. Well, that's before I came to CrossFit. And Janine and Mandy hit me up one day and they said, you're going to have to retire. And I said, well, okay, I will. I'll do that at the end of the year. This was March. They said, you won't live till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so we prayed about it over the weekend, and Monday morning I told my boss, I said, I need to retire. I told him what it was. He knew I had problems. He said, okay. So when do you want to quit? And I said, well, I'd like to keep going, kind of close things out a little bit. He said, okay. My blood pressure started going down that day. Mm-hmm. But my prayer was, Lord, if you get me out of this, then whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And but there were several things that had stopped me from doing that. And so anyway, when we agreed to do that, those things that I was trying myself to fix so I could retire, the Lord fixed them. He just said, get out of my way. I'll take care of it for you. And he did. And they also, what happened was right there at the end of, about the time I was getting ready to retire, Mike Calhoun called me from church, and he said, we need somebody to start a men's ministry. Would you be interested? And I thought, maybe this is what the Lord asked me to do. Mm-hmm. And so he said, you need to take a year and do this, blah, 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 find these men and everything, make it work. 60 days, we had a group of men going. We were going painting people's houses, cutting down their trees, hauling off trash. You have a problem, call the church. We'll take care of it.
Were you doing the meals too?
No, we wouldn't.
Something else?
Oh, we're doing the breakfast. We do breakfast once a month.
Okay.
We're doing some of those. And we even got, just if you need something, call us. Now, we're a bunch of old men with old bikes. So we're limited what we can do, But we had a compliment today. Somebody called us, wanted us to help them do something. And the Secretary of Church said, well, aren't y'all y'all are not our church, are they? So, no, we're not. So we heard that you got a group of men that help anybody that needs some help. So, that's just something that just, like you say, that wasn't there. But we found a place, and all these guys we get blessed doing it. We have a ball.
Was that harder than working at Farm Bureau?
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
So, but we've really been blessed moving to Canton. We've enjoyed it here.
How has Canton changed? You've been here 27 years, you said?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
How has Canton changed over the years?
Crowded.
Yeah.
I think winter to 1993 we moved here. I think there was 2 pavilions out here.
Yeah.
Those 2 old ones that came to the road.
Yeah.
Those other stuff wasn't here, so you know how much it's grown and changed. And out where we live, southwest of town, houses are being just put in out there right and left, which that's fine.
So Adam and I used to take. And one time we got this old junk car. We used to take it in those pavilions, go as fast as we could, and hit the emergency brake because Henry Lewis had the smooth concrete. And we'd hit the emergency brake, and we would just turn and slide, just power slide and do 360s and everything in there. But yeah, I remember just 2 pavilions down there. I remember they were nice because it was the only place indoors.
Yes, there was.
And then I remember when the arbors were built and all that.
True.
Of course, my folks were kind of involved in some of that, and it is getting crowded. I feel like when you drive out the county roads, there's a house every every acre.
Yeah, and that's the people coming's not bad. I have to be careful what I can say because you're going to put this on the air. But they come. Some of them that come need to leave their city ways behind. Mm-hmm. I mean, and because we're country people here, and I made a comment one time. Somebody said something about that. I said, this could be solved if when they move to Van Jack County, they can't vote for 20 years. But I don't. Okay, so some of your clients are not going to like that, but that's.
Well,
maybe you can erase that.
I'm going to get you. There's a shirt. A lot of people are moving from California here because California, nobody wants to live there anymore.
That's right.
I mean, especially if you own a business or, if you're, and there's a shirt that says, don't California my Texas.
I've seen those.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need to get you one of those. I need to get one myself. But
we need those, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to if I was I'm plugged into my church, but if for somebody new that's starting church, what are the steps to go in there to become a part of that church? What do you need to do?
You show up at the door, and I'm gonna find you.
Yeah,
I'm in charge of the ushers. You show up and you're new. Me and my ushers will find you.
And that's at Lakeside. It's just down the street from CrossFit Van Zandt.
And when we find you. let me know a little bit about you. Visiting, you want to move here? What are you doing? What can we help you with? And give me your name, your phone number, and then I will make it my point to make sure that you feel welcome and that we can bring you in and what can we do to help you get you started.
It's almost as scary as going into CrossFit for some people, going into a new church, especially one that's been here a long time, like Lakeside or
we left First Baptist. It was that was when after Brother Charles retired. He'd been there 30-something years. We left. And I thought, well, we've been here 10, 15 years. We'll know people at Lakeside, And we went in over there, and I didn't know very few because it's a community church. Mm-hmm. When they had the wet, dry elections here,
mm-hmm.
A few years ago,
mm-hmm.
and Brother Mark called his deacons in to talk to him about voting. Of course, that was just a city election. You lived in the city outside. None of his deacons lived in the city.
Yeah.
They lived all communities around here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a community-wide church, kind of what it is. So,
good deal. The let's talk tornadoes now.
Okay, all right.
Now, and I know, not to make light of it, because your mom was passed away, right?
Right.
What's the first tornado?
May the 10th of 1957. We'd lived in Paducah. My dad rented a bunch of land up on the plains between Amarillo and Plainview, a place called Silverton. Mm-hmm. And we moved up there in January, and this tornado was May the 11th. And my dad was in New Mexico buying cattle, and it came through there and wiped our house out. It was in the country, which was sparsely populated. I mean, very, very few people, and yet there's 28 people killed.
What kind of house was it?
It's a frame house, for a big frame house, nice farmhouse. And my mother was killed. She had one blow to the back of her head, best I remember. And my sister had her pelvis and legs broke. She was found under a telephone pole. And I landed a quarter mile away from the house in a hopper of a combine. And I had a tube floor splinter through my right leg. My neck broke. And the reason we know this is it was right about daylight when it hit our house.
Like 6 a.m. or something?
Yeah, probably. And the neighbors down the road, a quarter mile away, it missed their house. And they started driving down, to our house and got stuck. And they got out and started walking, and they saw me crawl down off the combine and get there. Because I was unconscious for 3 days.
Were you in bed asleep?
Yes.
Everybody was?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In their own rooms? Or?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Was your sister in there with you in your room? Did you share a room? Or?
I don't remember. I do not remember that really because I was 10 years old. So I kind of think she had her own room, best I remember, but I could be wrong. So, but there wasn't nothing left of our house except the foundation, period. And we had a house probably, I went back up there years later, maybe 150 foot away from our house that some of our hands lived in. One window pane sucked out of it.
And that's it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You saw this one that was here a few years ago, and Adam and Mandy worked with us out there on that, and we've all agreed that if somebody said, well, hey, my folks, we saw this tornado and you won't believe what happened. Yes. I will believe anything that you tell me that was a result of that after we've been through those. And then you was talking about that, there was another one in 1970 in Lubbock.
So 57 was the first one.
57, first one.
1970 was the second one that you were in.
It came down 4th Street, and I lived on 5th Street.
Where at?
Lubbock.
In Lubbock?
It was, where the Texas Tech Stadium is. I lived about 6 blocks east of there. And
what were you doing in Lubbock?
I was working. I was fixing to go back to college, and was working at the sale barn there. Fixing to go back to college. Well, when it destroyed the car and pickup, didn't hurt me at all, and so I left and went to work then and moved.
So it hit your house.
Hit apartment building.
Hit an apartment building.
Yes, sir.
You had a room there, and it didn't hit your room, but it hit your car.
Yeah, car and pickup. It had. You remember those the houses used to have those hard asbestos shingles on them? Mm-hmm. They were stuck in the side of my car, just like, I don't know, they were stuck in the car.
What's the third one?
Here, 3 years ago, April 29th, 2017.
April 20. I'll never forget that. April 20.
Ninth.
April 29th, 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That one took out your entire house and injured both of you.
Took us both out.
Injured you and your wife, Janine.
Mm-hmm. We were looking at it, and we had a bunch of trees around the house, and we didn't know. Now, God prepared us for this storm. I was supposed to be gone to a men's retreat in Oklahoma. Last minute, I couldn't go. Adam had tickets, free tickets to go to a Rangers ball game Saturday afternoon. Last minute, he didn't go. Well, long story short, after it's always one is important to him because he's the one that came and got us that night. If he had been down there, he wouldn't have done it. But we were watching. We kept watching. We knew the weather was bad, and we got in the closet, and I heard a window break out, and I went run in there like a dummy to see what it was, and all the windows were broke out, curtains flapping, and next thing I know, the laminate flooring was sucked up and it was floating around me.
What were you thinking? You've been through 2 tornadoes.
I knew what it was. But there wasn't anything to do about it then, and something hit me in the back. We know now what it was a wall that was pushing me. The walls were, and it was pushing me towards the windows, and I thought, I'm going to get squished. When I hit that, I saw the barbecue grill, table, and everything flying across there. Next thing I know, my feet dropped out from under me, and the wall was gone. And I was over the rose bed, and that's the last thing I remember. I woke up in we had a bunch of tall pampas grass. I woke up out there, and then they put about 30 staples in the back of my head where it knocked me out. And Janine was still in the closet. All stuff falling down on her. She could hear. See, I was blessed. I was unconscious. She never went out. And it sucked the boards up off the concrete, where they're nailed in. I don't know what you call them, and pulled divots out and left her laying there.
Wow.
And it moved her across the driveway and everything. When it was gone, she said the minute it was gone, it was just like that. It was quiet. And she got up hollering for me and walking around there. Next thing I know, I got up out of the pampas grass, and there we were.
So when the weather's bad, the tornado warning, I want to call and see where you're at, and that's
where we'll be. We have a storm cellar at the back of our house.
Well, I don't want to be anywhere close to that.
But now wait a minute. But now see, our neighbors, we didn't rebuild. We bought a house about 2 miles north there, and our neighbors are great people. And somebody said, "Why are you letting them move in? They bring those tornadoes with them." He said, "Yes, they do," but said he has survived all of them so far. So that's a plus there too.
Do you think that any, going through these storms, because that's the worst storm that we have is tornado.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Here in East Texas.
Yeah, Virgil Milton said 15 miles an hour being a 5. I mean, it was what do you call them?
Category 5.
Yes, it 15 miles an hour being a Category 5. Well,
there was 4 tornadoes that night, April 29th. There's
7.
There were 7.
7 in the county, yes, sir. I got a map up.
There were 7 in the county, but there was 4 major ones around Canton.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
None of them hit downtown Canton, but they were all around the perimeter. And, of course, people lost their lives that night. But you going through all those tornadoes, did that have anything to do with you being in the insurance business?
No. That just was
coincidence.
Well, yeah, it was. It was cool. No, I think if you're a Christian, you believe in the Lord, there's not a coincidence. The Lord led me into the insurance business, and out of that is where we are today. And it all tied in. There's offshoots of that come out of being in the insurance business that we've been able to serve and be here.
So the one in 1957 that killed your mom, how did y'all recover from that?
Well, as a kid, my grandparents lived right close there. We went and lived with them for a while. My dad, we loaded up after a year. My sister was in the hospital in Lubbock. She's in a body cast from her chest down through her feet for months. And but you got to remember, that was 60 years ago. So the medicine was a lot different than it is today. And I had splinters, still have black spots where they dug stuff out of me. Mm-hmm. And then we moved back to Paducah after a year, and he went back to farming there, and so that's where we grew up rest of our life, or all through our school lives there. in Paducah. So.
Do you ever, as a kid, you ever wonder why it happened? Why did you ever
Oh,
ask
yeah.
God why it hit your house and why it killed your mom?
Sure, we did, and and we lived with my mother's parents there in Lockney, Texas, close to Silverton, Florida. We lived with them for a year there, and yes, a lot of times, why,
What would you say to somebody that asks why does something happen to me bad? When bad things happen, why does it happen?
We don't know to this day. Okay, to this day, this last tornado that Janine and I went through has made us stronger Christians. We know that the Lord brought us through this for a reason. We don't know what, but we serve Him. It's made us closer together, she and I, because every now and then I break down because I nearly lost her that night. And so you have to believe that the Lord has a purpose in this. He's not cruel and not going to take somebody away, but it happens. I personally think, okay, like the tornado. Somebody said, why does God allow this? When Eve took a bite out of that apple, multi-years ago, into the world came tornadoes, floods, famine, pestilence, everything that goes with a dead, dying world that the Lord put here for us to enjoy, and then we've turned it back in His face. So He didn't cause the tornado that come that night. It's part of that. But at the same time, He has the power. We should both be dead, but I've had many people say, you were blessed that night. God put His hand over both of us, and not tonight. So in the midst of that storm that come through, He still had the power to say no. Now, our neighbor lives to the south of us, Cheryl Hughes' husband, Kenny. Mm-hmm. He died that night.
Yes.
When we were neighbors for years, right across the fence from each other. Why was he killed and why were we not? I cannot answer that. I wouldn't even begin to try to think that why. I don't know. I can't answer that. I just know that, okay, I don't know. Someday maybe we'll find out. Have
you gotten any closer finding why God spared you guys that night? What's the goals for the next 20 years, 30 years?
My goal for today. Today.
All right, okay.
My goal was for today. When you told me about this, and won't do this, and I told you, that George I just couldn't believe that what he told us all that he went through, and I didn't go through that, but I told Janine, I said, okay, let's go talk to this. I said, maybe one thing that I can do that I promised I would do since tornadoes, I give my testimony to the Lord about how He spared us. Maybe it would help somebody else. After that, the tornado, ladies from the church up here came out and interviewed Janine for about 2 hours, condensed it for about 20 minutes, and it's on YouTube. You can look up Janine Puckett on YouTube, and it's tell you her full story. One of my buddies was going to be interviewed by I don't know what channel it was out of Tyler, about during the tornado. He said, oh, no. I said, I'm not the one you need to see. He said, go see Pat. Well, they kept calling, and I finally said, what do you want? She said, I want your story, all this. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it on one condition. She said, what's that? And I said, well, I can tell you how we got into the storm. But we didn't get out of it. The Lord brought us out of it. And I said, are you going to put that on TV? She said, I will. I said, really? She said, yes. And I said, okay, who edits your material? She said, I do. So she came and did the story, and we heard a bunch of backfeed off of it about people saw that. So we've got to tell our story about the Lord, how He saved us, how He brought us through that on her deal there, TV. What you and I are talking about today. Mm-hmm. So is that why He brought us through it, or does He have a purpose in what we do? I just get up there every morning and thankful for one day at a time. I mean, I don't have nothing else. You said what? My plan 20 years, I don't have one.
But you try to do one thing a day, maybe.
When I get up in the day, let me find somebody I can help. Maybe just saying a kind word to them, putting an arm around their shoulders. Let me help make somebody's day a better day today and bring them closer to you. And then when I get up tomorrow, if I get up tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to do the same thing.
So wake up and try to do one thing, try to make a difference in one way, positive.
Yes. And yeah, it's funny. We both, we've laughed about, of course, Janine, I was knocked out cold for 5-10 minutes till she found me. But Janine wasn't. So she had a form of PTSD. We lived with some friends of ours out there after the storm. They had an apartment, kept us there, and I didn't know it until she was telling me that going back and forth and driving through that damage, same thing with, I guess, with y'all in the war and everything, but it was just making her sick.
Mm-hmm. I understand about that. Yeah.
We got her some help too, and it got her over that. So, and we did get to go to a church one time, and he was very adamant about that part of it. He said, some of you people are suffering from things like this, and you need to know it's not bad to ask for help.
Right. I've gotten therapy.
Yeah. So she did that. So, so we right now we live a very simple life. Well, a lot of the stuff that we had's gone, but it was just stuff.
Yeah.
It was just stuff. We have each other. We met so many nice people that showed up out at our house to clean up, to help. We never knew them. Still don't know who all they are.
They're out there, though, aren't they?
But they're there. When stuff happens like this, God's people rise to the top. They help. So I have made it I don't know, I've been to 4 or 5 tornado damages since then. I thought, there's one that I can drive to, I'm going and help them clean up because they came and helped us. Mm-hmm. I'm not helping the people at my place. I don't know who they were. I'm just helping those that need help. So
maybe we can think about that instead of all the stuff going on in California.
Well, those people in California, bless their hearts.
Yeah, well,
and we're not. Let's don't go there, Sam.
And we're not talking about the wildfires. That's hard. That's hard stuff.
Ain't that stuff? That's terrible. That's terrible.
And sometimes I ask myself, why in the heck do we live here? Mosquitoes are bad, snakes are bad, tornadoes are bad. Why don't we live somewhere nicer? But every place kind of has their, wildfires, earthquakes.
Yes.
Every place has their bad weather. Mm-hmm. Really.
Yeah. When we had one of the things we did with Farm Bureau and with Janine's job with Arbonne is we got to take a lot of nice trips. And do you remember back in it was probably the 80s when those California, when all those highways collapsed on each other? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
One of the big trips we won was we were going to go to overseas, but that was Desert Storm then, so they wouldn't ship us out the country. So we went to San Francisco, and out of our window we could see those highways collapse on each other. And those people out there, they found out from Texas, man, I wouldn't want to live there. So many tornadoes and everything. I said, we can hide from them. Where are you going to hide from an earthquake?
Yeah. So you were there when the earthquake happened?
No. It had already happened.
Oh, you just saw it.
We just saw the results of it.
Yeah.
So those highways collapsed on each other.
Yeah.
But when they did have earthquakes while we were there, we felt tremors.
Yeah. I felt the earthquake in Afghanistan, but it didn't do any damage, but I felt it. That was really strange.
Yeah.
Really strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about team roping.
Okay.
This is the only experience I have. Let me just tell you what I know, which is nothing. But Roy Dean was my dad's first cousin in Wills Point. Mm-hmm. This guy, he can team rope, and he's
good. And Clay is excellent.
Clay,
I know both of them real well.
So when I was a kid, my dad bought me a horse named Max, a Palomino, and Roy gave me a saddle that he had won or something. And one time, I can't remember if I was 10 years old or something, but they let the calf out of the chute, and I got to chase him with the horse. I never got around to roping him because I barely could ride, much less ride and rope at the same time. What is your job on your team roping team? What do you do? Take me through what your role is, and take me through team roping and what goes on. Essentially, there's two cowboys. There's one steer. Is this or
one steer?
One steer.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody ropes the horns. The other guy ropes the back two legs.
That's correct.
The team that ropes both successfully in the shortest amount of time wins.
Correct.
when you rope the hind legs or the horns, you throw a lariat rope, you cinch it up, and you wrap it around your saddle horn.
You dally it around your horn.
You
yes,
dally it around your horn.
There's one exception.
What did I leave out? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this thing is such a multi-industry now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is this last week in Fort Worth at that new, well, the old Real Rogers Coliseum and the new one they have over there.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have drove over there were thousands of trailers. I mean, people came from all over the United States to rope there because it was the finals. And they spend, it is a multi-million dollar industry. But the ones we go to locally here or whatever, we all started when we was kids. I started when I was a little kid roping calves, and you graduate and everything. And now it's just something we do. You know, okay, there's 5 or 6 of us guys my age, and we have Robert Armstrong, don't know if you know him or not, got a place out here in North Town, an old arena out there, and we have a steer that is a plastic steer on a sled, not live, pull it with a 4-wheeler. We'll go out there and spend all evening roping that thing. Take off, rest a while, rope, just something we know how to do. But as far as roping, one man comes out, he ropes the horns, he turns him left, and the one that comes in behind him and ropes the heels, both hind legs, and as you said, they dally to the saddle horn, with the exception, the man that is heeling when he gets to be 50 years old can tie off. I don't have to dally back there anymore. I broke all my fingers and nearly cut some off.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do that anymore. But
so the rope is tied to your saddle
when I'm heeling.
When you're heeling.
I'm ambidextrous. I do both ends of it. I can miss on both ends.
Do you have a percentage? What do you ever keep score? Like, whenever you go, how many times do you miss versus how many times you get it? Because you don't hit it a lot, right?
Oh no. If I can heeling, if I can catch 70% of them, I'm doing good. And heading, I have a better percentage on that. Because see, another thing you think about too is the person that's heading is the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's catching and he's setting everything up. Okay, if he misses, I never get to throw. On the heel side, I don't get to throw. So he catches and he turns him off. Then how is he leading him off? Because in an ideal world, you want him leading him off fast enough that the steer is hopping. So when he hops, and that's when you deliver your rope and put it under his hind feet.
What do you aim at when you throw your rope?
The right leg, hind leg.
The right hind leg.
Mm-hmm.
How do you throw? You throw it sidearm. You throw it overhand.
I throw it overhead, and you bring it down from the side, and you want to put the bottom loop on the ground. That's your brake right there, and then it stands up, because if you don't hit it on the ground, it'll just shoot all the way through. So it's just I've been roping since I was 9 years old, Sam. Yeah. So
what do you think about right when you're in the chute ready to go and you're waiting? They tell you to stand by.
No, you ride in the chute.
Yeah.
The header rides in. Okay,
yeah.
He's on the left side and you're on the right side, and he's the one. He's looking up at the steer, wants to make sure the steer's headed straight out there, and nods his head because there's a barrier. Mm-hmm. You got to give the steer a head start, and if you don't give him a head start, then it's a 5-second penalty. So you want to make sure that the steer's headed in the right direction. If you're doing things right, you want to look over at your partner to make sure he's in shape, and so when you let steer out, then you ride to him till you get to a spot. Depending on how fast the steer is, how fast your horse is, you ride to a spot where you're comfortable throwing.
Okay. Well, when you're in the chute and you're about to start, what are you thinking about?
I'm watching the steer.
You're the heel.
I'm a heeler. When he come out, I'm watching the header, and when I see his rope go on the horns, then I look down at the steer's hind feet, because he's going to turn him 90 degrees to the left, and that's when I get in position behind him to throw my loop.
But what are you thinking about? Do you say a prayer before you go out there? What's your how do you think? How do you have luck on your side, or how do you try to get success? Especially, do you guys? You probably don't ever gamble any money out there, but you somebody's buying coffee next day or something like that. But what are you thinking when you're about to start? What goes through your mind?
Just, Lord, let me do what I'm able to do. I mean, I'm not the most talented out there, and I've been blessed. I've won my share of them, but you just things have to be. I mean, if you can imagine, last roping I was in down there was 400 teams, you know, and I came back in the top 20, and we just got a good steer, caught it the right time. It's just a combination of stuff. You can be the best roper there is. Even the world champions, they miss.
Right.
They all do, you know. Or maybe the steer ducks his head at the wrong time, or maybe
it's so interesting to me what people are thinking about when they start. For instance, Deion Sanders, when he played football, when he's about to get a punt, and the play hadn't even started, but he's about to catch a punt. What's going through his head?
I don't know. He'd be something with him. Yeah.
It's wild. Are they thinking of something to try to calm them down? Or are they thinking about the next steps? Because you don't really know what the next steps are. I mean, you're probably watching the back of your partner. Your horse is going to go automatically. How are you holding on to the saddle? Or
you're not.
You're not holding.
Just with your legs.
You're a real cowboy. Let me say.
No, but you know, it's something that you get used to, that you do.
Yeah.
You have to learn to ride.
Yeah.
And you know, it's riding, it's roping. And
so I was in Afghanistan. There's a General Jalal was the general of the Afghan National Police in the Kunar province. He was a Russian prisoner for, you know, the Russians invaded Afghanistan in 79 to 1989. He was a prisoner almost the entire time, but he was a very powerful guy, corrupt guy. But he would walk up to Afghanis and slap them in the face. And, I mean, you just didn't mess with this guy. And me and him kind of went back and forth a lot because I was the American liaison to him to my commander. But he tried to he was kind of a mentor to me of such.
Yeah.
And he kind of liked to show off in front of me. But he brought a horse. In where I was in northeastern Afghanistan, it wasn't like in the northern Afghanistan where there's a lot of horsemen. But he was a horseman, and he brought his horse one day. And, you know, I can ride a horse. And, you know, I'm a pretty athletic guy. I jump on there. I ride him around. And, you know, I got off the horse, and he clapped a little bit. And then he jumped on the horse. Of course, there's no saddles in Afghanistan. He jumped on the horse, you know, and he's wearing his, we call it pajamas. You know, it's just it's a nice kind of a man dress, the long shirt with light blue kind of linen suit. And he jumped on the horse and clutched it so hard with his legs, and he started slapping the horse. And the horse was just bucking up in the air. I mean, something out of a movie. And he was just looking at me, grinning, just showing me how much of a horseman he was. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
And all right, what were you saying, Ben?
Okay, you know, talking about always been involved in team roping, and a lot of around here, when I came here, they would have ropings every Friday, Saturday night, some little arena. And it wasn't very expensive. It didn't cost much to get in it. Well, in doing that, you'd have some kids or some women come up and say, well, Mr. Puckett, would you rope with me? Well, sure, it's not, but $10, let's get it, you know. And so now you go to some of these ropings, and there's this big 6-foot-plus kid come up and say, oh, Mr. Puckett, you remember me? We used to rope together. I said, well, I hadn't seen you since years. But there again, you know, helping somebody doing something, and the way some of them I'd rope with, never seen before. We won stuff. It was great. Yeah, it's just a blessing to get to do that. And then it's all kind of a community. You go to these places. I may not know anybody when I go there, but that's all right. I'll find somebody to rope with. So
yeah.
Good fun.
That's another thing that's hard to get into, you know, is if you've never been around it, is being in a rodeo. You know, you kind of got to grow up through that, or you got to, you know, it's just like playing sports, but a different type.
Yeah, you show up, and after a while, you'll get to know people.
How do they start team roping? Was that to get to brand a cow? Is that what it was?
Exactly. When we started roping in West Texas, we talking about dallying. We didn't dally. We tied on both ends. So if you had a calf in the pasture that need branding or need doctoring for screw worms, and my dad and I actually did that a lot. We would when we had all those cattle, one of them roping around the neck, one of them roping feet, and then you get off and you can doctor them.
So tell me about the horse. What's the best horse for team roping?
Oh, it's all quarter horses. There's no other horses that you know. And then you got all different kind of colors, but they call them paint or beige or but they're all quarter horses because they were bred to run a quarter mile was their speed. Well, when you're roping, it's you're not going to run any of them over the length of this arena, this building here, unless you get some of the big professional places. Most of the ones I go to, time you've run them 30, 40 foot, you've caught them. So,
can you tell me the story about going and buying a horse recently? The one that Adam told me?
The one that Adam told me. Okay. Yeah, this is, I have a horse that's 24 years old. He's crippled. He just is part of my life, part of my family. But after the tornado, he was crippled and this and that. So I was looking for one, looking on the internet and, find this, find that. Well, my wife will tell you that not all horse traders are exactly honest. They tell you everything you need to know. But anyway, so and I know what kind of price range they're in. So one Friday afternoon, I saw a horse on.
What's the price range? If you don't mind me asking.
Decent horse that's anywhere from 13 to 18 years old will cost $5,000 to $8,000 if they can do anything.
Why do you want a horse that's 13 to 18 years old?
When a horse is getting to be 20, he's getting to be somebody that you could go rope off of, but you don't need to push a whole lot. A lot of the big guys in national finals and everything, they have horses that's 20 plus years old, but they only take them to those big ropings. They don't go to the little play pens like I was telling you. We play all day on them. So the younger they are, the more that they can handle.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you get them, 10, 12, 13, then they've been through the business and they're not scared of anything. So.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted.
That's all right. No, it's all right. It's okay. But anyway, so I saw this 8-year-old bay horse for sale, $3,200. And I thought, that's cheap. Something's wrong with him. But so anyway, I started calling and I got a hold of this kid. Yeah, he told me about him and everything. And I said, well, I'd sure like to come looking. Well, I'll get back with you. Well, this was Friday. So I called again Saturday, and we kind of missed each other off and on all through the weekend, And the thing about it was he told me a lot about him, that you could head, you could heel, which is good that they can do both ends. And price was right, and 8 years old. So but he never did tell me size or anything about him. And so I just about give up on him. Well, Monday afternoon, this guy called and said, I got the horse pinned. Would you like to come look at him? I thought, well, sure, down the other side of Chandler. So I drive off down there, and as I'm pulling up here in front of this brick house, I can see a young white couple out there, married couple, and they had a young black kid with them, and he was probably 6'4", 6'5", but he wasn't big around as a toothpick. Mm-hmm. And they're leading this horse out there that I probably could straddle him and still have my feet on the ground. Yeah, that's right. He was not very big. And so I thought, well, that's not the horse they're talking about, So I walk out there where they are, and we get to talking. Come find out, this young man and his wife owned the horse, and this young kid is his horse trainer. Mm-hmm. And I said, is this the horse right here? And he said, yeah, it is. And I said, really? I said, you can head and heel both off of them? He said, yeah. He said, I did this last weekend. Said, I caught most of my cattle. I said, well, the cattle couldn't have been very big, or he'd have drug you down the arena. He said, they weren't very big. They were pretty small, but I roped them. And we got to talking about it, and I told him, and the guy was telling me how much you want for him and everything. And I said, he just not big enough for a horse. Said, he just won't be able to handle the stress. So he said, do you think that's why I haven't been able to sell him, is because he's not big enough? I said, well, yeah, that's it. I said, $3,200, the price is right. But I said, nobody but a skinny kid like him can ride him, and then he can't rope anything very big. And he said, the horse is real gentle too. Said he would make a great kid horse. I said, you'll have a better chance of selling him for a kid horse than with a roping horse. He said, if you want him for a kid horse, I'll take $2,000 to $3,200. I said, well, I don't need a kid horse, but I appreciate you doing that. So anyway, we go to walking back up to my truck, and there's this young girl there. She's in her, I don't know, early 20s, carrying a baby on her arm, real nice couple. And they was talking. She said, sir, do you mind, said, why do you need a horse like this? And I said, well, I need something that I can rope off of. She said, really? Are you still able to rope? So my family has really thought that was a good one, So, and then since then I have a horse that I bought probably 6 weeks ago. Looks like he's going to be a real nice horse. But I bet I looked at 7 or 8 horses up to the end that every one of them have a ding or something wrong with them. But when I told you the prices, I knew that to buy one I'd probably have some dings on it, but I had to be something that I could live with.
Yeah.
So
What's your horse's name?
Cutter. Registered horse. Out of Cutter Bill or something, and his mom was on the freckles something side. I didn't get the papers with him, but I mean that's the name they gave him. Palomino horse, 13 years old, real nice. So.
All right. Well, Pat, I want to thank you for being on the show today. I've really enjoyed it. You said it all.
Well, thank you. I told you after I listened to George and I started radio, I thought, well, ours won't take but about 5 minutes. But it's been a while, so I thank you for letting me come on and talk about what we've done and everything. And I want to thank you and Ashley. Y'all have, you do not know how many people that y'all are making a difference in their lives. And I'm a prime example of that. But, I mean, everybody comes up here, not only just the physical aspect that we're talking about, but the mental and just being it's a part of our lives now. It's just I'm just so thankful for it. Be able to come. Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate it. We've got friends that live in Greenville that they have their CrossFit gym called CrossFit Mockingbird, and they told us they're like, this is our ministry is doing that, this type of thing. And yeah, that's really touched me and Ashley hearing that. And it's true for us too. Now we love what we do, and
it does.
And
it shows.
But we couldn't do it without people like you.
So. Well, that's what you have it. That's what we're here for. It helps us, y'all's ministry. It helps us expand our ministry. I mean, I hope somebody's been blessed by what we've been able to talk about today. I hope they have.
I think they will. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, buddy. You bet.
Right, appreciate it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Sam Dean Podcast, Life Uncensored. We had Pat Puckett today. And if you want to sponsor the podcast, reach out to me at vzfit@me.com. This episode was sponsored by Van Zant Coffee. You can buy our coffee at vanzantcoffee.com. Also sponsored by Proletas.com. Protein Proletas are ice cream bars made of protein. We sell them at CrossFit Van Zant and CrossFit Van Zant South. Greg Garcia is a Dallas police officer. He owns and creates the Protein Proletas. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.